Hey guys, John here. Today we're in the Arturia Mini Freak V, and I've made a very weird patch. This one's called Terror Base because I really don't know what else to call it, but here we go. We have two macros assigned to things that we're going to get to shortly. Okay, so if I hadn't scared you off with that patch here, let's go ahead and recreate this here. So, like I was saying before, this patch and really all the other Mini Freak patches are going to be using external compression and external reverb. So, with that being said, pick your favorite compressor and reverb, and let's get started. So, let's turn off our effects for this guy, and for this channel, let's disable our compressor and also our reverb. Let's turn that off for now. So we just have basically this. Bring our macros down as well. So that's kind of what we have. So let's go to this guy, go to a new preset. So let's take a look at what we are going to be doing here. So both of these are going to be using the formants. So the first oscillator, let's select the basic waves and go all the way down to formant. We have something like this, but we're going to be dropping it down one octave. So we have one octave in this guy. I had to crank it up quite a bit, so plus 60 dB. So let's go ahead and do that now. We have something kind of weird like that. So our interval is going to be at 16. Our formant, 54.8. 54.7, that's fine. We're pretty much close here. And this one's going to be modulated. We'll get to that in 1 second here. So our shape's going to be 68.9. So there we go. We have something like this here. But we are using the some modulation here. So if you click on this plus here, we can kind of see what's going on here. So we're using this cycle envelope here to automate or modulate this this oscillator 1 timbre. And this is a value of 38.3. So let's go ahead and do that. So on the formant, click this plus here, and then we can see our cycling envelope here. And then was it 38? What did I put? 38.3? Is that what I said? 38 point. Yeah. How about that? 38.3. Okay, so this guy, so by default, this rise is going to be 0. The fall is going to be 50, and which is kind of default. And then our hold by, I guess, manually set is going to be 46. So that's just one oscillator here, so we can kind of bring this down for now. Okay, so we're getting kind of close here. So let's go ahead and redo this, turn off these effects here to kind of get back to where we were. Okay, so next up we have the second oscillator, and this is going to be, we're not changing any tuning, but we're also going to be using the formant as well. So here, go to our formant down over here. There we go. So this volume is going to be at 65.6. So this one's not going to be using any modulation, but our interval is going to be 26, which is going to be default, and then our formant 83.9, something like that here, and then our shape is going to be 53 or 59.3. I think our volume was 65.6. Is that default? Yeah. So we have something kind of weird like this. Okay, so now we're going to make it a little bit crazy here. So this guy, we're also using the filter. So our cutoff is going to be 47. And then our I almost said like reverb, but resonance 33. Now we're using a little bit of envelope amount at 26. So we're getting kind of close here. So the difference is that we here now is going to be due to the envelope, right? Because we're using envelope amount, and we haven't really touched our main envelope yet. So what we need to do here for our main one is going to be attack 0, decay 50, which is going to be default. The sustain is going to be 50 as well, but we are changing the release to 30. Okay, now to really make this thing spicy here is we're changing our voices from poly, which comes by default, to unison. So we can change this here to unison. A little bit of glide at 0.08. Okay, so we're pretty much the same. Okay, so next up, we need to start adding some of our effects. So our first one's going to be this chorus. So let's go to our first effect and turn this guy on. So without the chorus and with, it kind of really just makes it huge. And we're going to be on the Lush preset. So go down here to Lush, something kind of like that. And then our rate is going to be 4.5, which is default. And then our depth, 60.2, that's default as well. And then our dry wet's going to be 37. So we're kind of just increasing this. And we got to turn it on here. Okay, so we're pretty much the same still. So next effect is going to be a delay. Let's turn this guy on. And this one's going to be filtered sync. So let's go here to delay here. So go down to the presets and filtered sync. And for this guy, we're going to be using 1/8. So kind of just bring this to the left a little bit like that, 1/8. And then our feedback is going to be 56.6. And turn it on. And their level is going to be 60. Kind of already a creepy delay there. Okay, last one, but not least, is going to be distortion, because we got to make this a little bit nastier, right? So let's turn this on. Let's go down to distortion. And over here, we're going to be using the classic, which is going to be the default one that it comes with. And really, we're not going to be changing too much, 18.8. So bring this down just a smidgen there, 18.8. And that's going to be fine, because we're not using the filter at all. So yeah, that's all you really have to do for this guy. And you get something like that. Okay, so now the part of the macro. So while I was making this, I was kind of wondering, what can we do with the cycling envelope to make it kind of weird, right? So on macro 1 and 2, we have the rise and the hold for 1 and 2 respectively, right? So when we increase this macro here, this first one, this rise is also going to move. As you can see, this thing move once I move the macro. So it's actually quite a lot of fun to play with that guy. And then bringing this back down, the macro 2 is going to be on the hold, which actually gives a very interesting different timbre depending on how you play it. And you can see it moving here on the hold and also on the dot over here. So if you have this all the way down and you have the macro, the first one up, we're going to hear that snapping because it's kind of going quickly down to the fall and holding down on the hold, right? However, if we increase macro 2, it's not going to be as pronounced, or if we have it all the way to the top, it's not really going to do that. Right, because it's just holding there. Or we can bring it down just a little bit so it does a little bit less snappiness. Really all depends on how you want to play that. So let's go ahead and map this. So remember, our first macro is going to be on rise at a value of 60. So we go to our macros here. So the first one, we can select none here. And then, like I said, we're going to go to rise. So we can click this here. It's going to map that. And then we just have to change this to 60, something like that here. So we play some notes. Oh, what's else on the wheels? Here we go, on macros. So that one's pretty much done, which is pretty simple. And then the second macro is going to be hold at 55. So kind of the same process as well, right? So if you want to go to the second macro, we select none, and then we're going to go hold. So that maps us here. And then we just do a value of 55, something like that. So yeah, it gives you some really weird sounds. I wasn't even sure if I was going to show this one because it's just so weird. And I was like, maybe someone will have some use for this patch. I have no idea. It's definitely fun to play and make. So, okay, so now we're in a spot to start doing some of our external stuff. So we can go back to home and get a little bit more space here. So for this guy, we have our compressor here. Just makes it nasty. So we're using Presswerk from Hive. And the cool thing I really like about this compressor here, so I have it dialed up on this one as well. So let's turn this on and unbypass this. So what we can do if we let's say we right click and go to init, we have this crazy compressor with all these options that we would ever need. But what's nice about this, we can go to the init view and just go to an easy compressor if we want to. That also has stuff for like a vocal compressor, drum compressor, stuff like that. But for now, we can just use the easy. And for this, I believe I'm using 421, which is, yeah, it's just more than enough. It's totally fine. So let's bring our threshold to the top for now and then go 421, something right here, and make sure we're actually playing this guy, right? So we can change the response to faster or slower, really depends on what you want to do. I guess, I don't know, I'll just do a little bit faster here. I didn't do it on this one, but it's all good. And then kind of decrease our threshold to where we like it. And here we're getting about 3 dBs of gain compression. Okay, so that sounds pretty cool there. So we don't really need to do too much there. That's how easy that compressor is. It's just there, it gets the stuff done. And it's easy to work on other things if you want to, and it just sounds great out of the box. So now let's add some of the external reverb. So I'm just going to be doing my trusty Valhalla vintage Verb. Let's route it to this guy. Oh my God, this thing is just, oh, it's nasty, man. Okay, so that's pretty much how you make this patch. It's not too crazy, but it's a lot of fun. The macros themselves really kind of go to the playability of this thing. You could use it as a bass or maybe some type of texture or effect or just something creepy in the background. Who knows? But yeah, if you use this in something, I'd love to hear it because who knows what this thing can do. So yeah, that's how you make this patch. If you want a free copy of this, there's a link in the video description below. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something, and we'll see you in the next video.